Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and had a subscriber ask a question because I had very briefly in another video mentioned kind of the Zyzz phenomenon, and he asked, I don't get it. Why in the hell is this guy so popular? Why is he still got like this cult-like following online when someone like Steve Reeves would have been so much more worthy? I just don't get it. So let me put on my +5 hat of weaponsmithing, work on skilling up my crafting a little bit, and some of the original Zyzz followers will appreciate that sort of gaming reference. And let's try to explain this. How do we explain it? Because everyone's like, serious lifters and all these other bodybuilders, they don't get it. They get so pissed off because you had a guy who they don't think looks that impressive. Because from bodybuilding perspective, he wasn't that impressive, particularly for a guy using a ton of tren. And they just don't get it. They don't get it. And what they don't understand is that there was a phenomenon going on here that is separate from the guy's physique. All right, it's a totally separate phenomenon, and that's why people don't understand what happened, because they're being too subjective in their bodybuilder type mindset, their training mindset, and they're not looking at the social aspect of what happened and how this guy developed a following. All right, first of all, there's an enormous demographic out there of gamers who are very serious gamers who lack confidence. They lack confidence to get the girls that they want. All right, it's pretty common. There's millions of them, millions, tens of millions probably. Actually, I mean at the global level, tens of millions easily. Zyzz was one of those guys. He was a skinny World of Warcraft gaming nerd. All right, skinny World of Warcraft gaming nerd. Now, the thing that you have to note there, let's be honest here. Most gaming nerds are reasonably intelligent people. Most people who are successful at gaming have at least a degree of intelligence. That's just the norm. Stupid people can't do modern, complex, team effort video games. All right? And the other thing to factor in, people have to have some ability to work in a group, at least over voice communication and everything, to be successful at these games. So he wasn't necessarily a guy who wasn't smart or didn't have some ability for social interaction, and that's what you've got to understand. But this group of people lack confidence. He was probably one of those guys. And he went on a bunch of tren, bunch of drugs, and went in the gym to boost his own confidence. He went in and boosted his confidence artificially. And then he threw himself out there on the internet because he was a gamer. He already understood the power of the internet. He used drugs to boost confidence, training to boost confidence, because it boosted his self-esteem. Let's be honest. You know, if you're skinny or you're really fat and you go get into shape, your confidence is probably going to go up. Now, some people develop new insecurities based upon that and it goes down. But in many cases, their confidence goes up. And he used the internet to push forward that confidence he was putting out. He created a persona online based upon not just confidence, but an overwhelming, ridiculous level of confidence. But the thing is, when you get on the internet, over-the-top stuff gets people's attention. And this guy did this, and what people need to understand, he didn't get girls just because of his physique. Now, he did have the type of physique that will attract girls. Most bodybuilders, guys get this idea that if they get super shredded, and he was not super shredded. He was not bodybuilder contest lean. It's not attractive to anybody. So bodybuilders who think that, or people in the community who think that, are deluded. Having too much muscle mass isn't attractive to most women. Some women like it, most don't. Being too shredded isn't attractive to most women. If you like it, most don't. He had that nice middle ground. The dude wasn't massive. He was decently big. Wasn't massive. Guy was really lean, but he wasn't shredded lean. Walking out here with a bunch of confidence. He obviously came from money because he could afford to have drugs, and he went out and partied a lot. He got into the party scene and documented it online. Well, you need to remember, if you've got money and confidence and drugs in the party scene, you're going to get girls. All right? You will get a lot of girls. That's reality. But that part didn't get shown through as much, and he used the physique thing to inspire all these young men. Well, if you're a young gaming guy who is lacking a little bit of confidence to get girls, all right, and you see some over-the-top confident guy who 2 years ago was a gamer just like you, socially awkward gamer just like you 2 years ago, and this dude all of a sudden has a nice body, he's out partying, he's getting girls, getting laid, putting forward this almost fake level of confidence, just over the top confidence, where even he had haters. He had tons of haters. Everyone thinks that the guy just had this following of people who just loved him. Dude, he had some haters. All right, there are powerlifting coaches and bodybuilding coaches and all sorts of people who are hating the shit out of this guy online. They were hating him. And he just laughed at them and didn't care. When someone has the ability to laugh off their haters and not care, and it comes across genuine, because a lot of times it's hard to fake that. A lot of times when people try to laugh off their haters, people can see the insecurity. That's the reality of it. Unfortunately, that is a reality. He was able to successfully laugh it off and make a joke out of it because it was all a joke to him. And he just kept doing his thing. And these gaming nerds loved him for it because he was one of them. And that's what the bodybuilders have to realize. He wasn't one of you. He wasn't one of you. He was one of them. He was one of the dorky ass gaming nerds who was insecure and needed confidence so that they could get girls. And he did so. And he successfully did so. And it was this big beacon for all these gamers who said, hey, I'm going to go get I want to do what he did. I want his life. He started where I was. I could have his life. All right? Think about that for a moment. That's a very powerful message. Very powerful message. And it got a lot of guys into the gym. I bet you 500,000 guys got in the gym because of this guy. Probably 500,000 gamers got up and started lifting weights because of this guy. So we could argue that maybe his lifestyle was terrible. I mean, it killed him. He partied himself to death. The guy's dead because of it. We could argue he sent a terrible message using the amount of drugs that he used to be where he was with his physique. But you know what? At the end of the day, the guy got hundreds of thousands of guys off the computer, away from their gaming long enough to get in the gym and start training. In fact, I've seen a couple little YouTube channels out there that are gaming channels who now lift, and the guys are in shape, and some of them have said briefly that Zyzz was their inspiration. All right? So if he inspired them to do it, and then they inspire other people to do it, it's this chain effect of getting guys who are gamers, the nerdy gamers, to get up and get in shape. You know, we could argue all day long that in some ways he was a bad influence. And he was a bad influence. But if if 1 million guys as a chain result of that start lifting weights and get in shape and improve their health and fitness in their lives because of his bad example, do the ends justify the means? I'm going to say so. Yeah, they probably do. And I mean, are all the athletes and bodybuilders who get mad at the amount of drugs that he used versus the size and leanness that he had, are they justified in that anger? Sure they are. Because it shouldn't have taken what he admitted to using to have the muscle he has, and they get pissed. They don't get it. They're like, screw this guy. He's such a bad example, that I can't believe he needed that many drugs to look like that. But the problem is, or you guys got to understand, as right as you are, because you guys are right, all right? He didn't really look really any better than Steve Reeves, who was at most a casual user. We could argue whether Steve used or not. He probably did use a little depot. All right, let's be honest. We know that he was against it publicly, and I believe that he admitted, though, that he did use it for a little while. But yeah, Steve Reeves had the perfect classic physique, and he was strong on top of it. And I appreciate more of the strength of the fact than how he looked. But yeah, it's arguable that Zyzz didn't look any better than Steve Reeves. And that's where people get angry. And you guys are right from a bodybuilding perspective. You're right. But the problem is, to everyone else, when you say that, you look like a hater. And that's what guys need to understand. You want that message. The people who love the guy, they don't care about your message. They don't care that you think he should have been bigger or leaner due to the drugs he was on. Because if his goal was to get girls, did he need to be bigger or leaner? It worked pretty damn good, didn't it? He wasn't competing in bodybuilding. He didn't care about competing in bodybuilding. He did this for fame and for girls. And apparently he used the exact amount he needed to use to get where he wanted to be without being too freakish. And so ultimately, while you guys are right from a bodybuilding perspective, he probably didn't need anywhere near the drugs he used to be where he was. Nowhere near what he had even admitted to using. But you know what? Here's the thing that I've got to ask. Did he even lie about what he was using? Was it part of his over-the-top persona? Was it part of his over-the-top persona when he said he used, what was it? I saw him admit somewhere that he was using 300 milligrams of tren every other day at one point. It had come through a forum, and it was confirmed to be his real thing. Was that him being honest? Was he really using like a gram of tren? He says he was. Or was that part of the guy's over-the-top persona? He might have been using 200 milligrams of tren a week and a little clem. You know what? That's totally believable. But did he claim he was using that amount as part of his over-the-top persona because the guy did everything kind of to the extreme? He was all about being over the top. Did he make that up just to further his own legend? It's a possibility. And I would be willing to accept that hypothesis, that the guy actually didn't even use what he claimed to use. He probably used a lot less. But the fact that he threw out this high dose that he typed out, he could have been totally trolling people just to further his own legend. And you know what? The truth of the matter is now that the guy is dead, and I think that's a tragedy that the guy is dead. But we'll never know now. We'll never actually know what the guy used. And I think that's the sad part, and I've seen a lot of people who are lifters, again, the serious hardcore crowd who are like, fuck him, I'm glad he's dead. I'm glad he's dead. That's what he gets for setting a bad example of partying and excessive drugs and party drugs and everything. And maybe these young guys will learn. And I look at that and I say, you know what, guys? I don't know. I think that's being a little petty. I think that's being a little petty. I think it's sad that the guy died because he set an example of, yeah, he set a bad example. He really did. But he got a hell of a lot of guys into the gym. He got a lot of gamers into the gym. And that's a positive thing. He left a positive, lasting legacy with that. Was the guy come across as a total douchebag? Yeah. Did he set a bad example with the partying and the drugs? Yeah. But he got a hell of a lot of guys lifting. And you know what? At the end of the day, man, I'm going to say that the good that he did with that, I think it outweighs the bad. I honestly think the guy left because he got so many guys to actually get in the gym and get off their asses and lift weights. I have to say that overall, the world is probably better off for the guy having been in it. How many of us can really say that at the end of the day? That's the kind of thing that a lot of us should set. You want to set a goal in life? How about you set a goal that the world will be a better place for you personally having been in it? That's a lofty goal. I think that's the most that any of us could really hope for ultimately. And yeah, I think it's sad that the guy's life ended tragically at such a young age. I think that's the tragic part. And I think that's sad. So no, I'm not happy that he's dead. Because I think the guy actually changed the world a little bit, just a little bit, for the better. In spite of all the goofiness and the other stuff involved. The world's better for him having been in it. He got a lot of guys in the gym, and that's important. So why is he a legend? Because he capitalized on it. He created a cult-like following in exactly the way that I just described. And it has nothing at all to do with the bodybuilding world itself. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.